Appeals, we have request for waiver of the noise ordinance on December 17th from 1 p.m. until 7 p.m. on Hillcrest Road.
It's good, Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Okay. May 25th in Cooper Riverside Park from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m.
Good, Ms. Carroll.
Public hearings to declare the structures at 607 Pettit Avenue, 357 Rylands Lane, formerly known as Street, 604 Tai Street, public nuisances and ordering them demolished. There's also the public hearing to consider amending section 64.3.1 Downtown Development District of the current zoning ordinance, chapter 64 of the Mobile City Code, and amending appendix A. No comment, okay. Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Ann Davis, Harry Teford, Chastity Eberly, and Reggie Hill. Ordinance is held over 01043, ordinance to define the city of Mobile Central Business District.
Mr. Carroll.
I'm going to lay this over one more week, the request of Edgar, and personally write some type of language for this so that he can do what he needs to do.
Madam Clerk.
07058, amend chapter 7 of the Mobile City Code, animals and fowls.
Oh, everybody good? Mr. Reynolds?
Yeah, Mr. President. That's why I was late. Sorry I was late. We were wrapping up some last minute changes to, there's some amendments that we've been working with the administration on to the animal control. And I think everybody's got a copy of it. And everybody read it through. And if we can take it up today, so be it. If not, we need to lay it over a week. But I can go through some of the changes if you'd like, but there's quite a few. The administration had some changes along with me. So
We can, because of time constraint, we can lay it over for another week and just have the council really can just look at it, you know?
okay.
All right. Well, 1 week good? Okay. Madam Clerk.
64059, rezone property located at 5015, 5017, 5019, 5021, 5029, 5033, 5039, 5049, 5051, 5055, 5121, 5133 Cottage Hill Road, 2113 Demetropolis Road, and 2104 Garman's Lane from R2 and B2 to B2.
Good, Ms. Reynolds? Okay.
Consent resolutions held over 4786, declare the structure at 1005 Texas Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Mr. Carroll.
Unfortunately, I mean, the house is salvageable. I've talked to the owner. I've had other people talk to the owner to help find a way through it, but I don't know if the owner's ever going to move on it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to let it go by the wayside. Unless between now and the time that it's demolished, somebody steps up and chooses to save the structure. It is a truly historic structure, truly historic piece of property. I'm sad to let it go.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk.
Resolutions held over 07947, approve the issuance of multifamily housing revenue bonds by Capital Trust Authority not to exceed $438,231,000.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, we held this over. There were some things that needed to be done on a public hearing side and whatnot. I think that was completed. I just need to get confirmation. Is there anybody here that can address that this is ready to go?
Yes, I understood that Matt McDonald, who proposed it, would be here, but I did receive confirmation, which was also forwarded to the clerk's office, that telephonic public hearing was held, and there were no comments.
Okay, so there's no reason not to continue to move this forward at this point, is your recommendation. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
08-997, approved purchase order to Schaefer Plastics North America LLC for 793 residential trash containers. 08-998, approved purchase order to Sunbelt Fire for 50 sets of turnout bunker gear. 08-999, approved purchase order to IT vendor for managed network threat protection equipment and 1-year support subscription. 09-1000, transfer funds from general fund to capital improvement fund, capital project cruise terminal, new gangway.
Everybody good? Okay. Madam Clerk?
21-1001, authorized change order with John G. Walton Construction for Texas Street Rehabilitation Project. 21-1002, authorized change order with John G. Walton Construction for Broad Street Redevelopment Project. 61,003, authorized release of claims and settlement agreement. Ordinances being introduced, 60,
Mr.
Mr. Days?
President. Going back for a minute to 21-1002. Is there someone who could, Nick or someone who could give me a idea of how much money we've devoted to that project so far? How much money has been devoted to that project so far, the Broad Street reconstruction?
The current contract amount is $16,666,116.02, and this will raise that up a little over $2 million.
18 and something,
Mhm.
19 million
Yes,
dollars.
sir.
Thank you.
ordinances being introduced. 64060 is the ordinance to amend the downtown development district.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jones?
yeah, just on a procedural issue here, we've got another amendment that we're putting forward that will be introduced next week. Do we need to align the votes on these to go concurrent, or are we going to handle these separate?
What you,
Yeah, so you're saying, so we've got the administration's plan.
Right.
Then y'all's amendment, you're saying
Correct.
there's gonna be an additional
No,
amendment?
no, no,
Okay.
just those two, but they're falling on two separate days. They're not, we were trying to sync them, but the public hearing for the next amendment happens on the 22nd versus today. So we can either align the vote and vote on them both on the same day,
let's,
or we can take them as they are and vote on them separately.
let's go ahead and just align them on the same day. If we can, you said next week,
Yeah.
so we need to hold this off for what, 2?
Well, hold it off 1 week, I think. will
You'll be
align.
holding
Well,
off.
it's
too.
2.
2 weeks. Yeah.
We'll
You know,
introduce this week.
Personally, I mean, if we know that it's gonna fail anyway, why are we holding it over?
So on the will of the council.
Today, we're having a public hearing.
For this amendment.
And then it
Oh,
will,
is it for this one? Okay.
and then we'll vote on it next week by rule of the council anyway. So, I mean, there's no really, I mean,
We'll just go ahead and just take it separate.
take them separate.
Core.
If we know it's gonna fail, let it lay over a week, let it
Okay.
fail next week, and then
All
the
right.
following week, we'll vote on it.
I think I prefer that it does align, as Mr. Jones said.
Take a
So,
vote on
so
it.
to hold
Well,
over today's public hearing, push today's public hearing out 2 weeks.
Joe,
Can't hold over a
Can't
public
hold it.
hearing.
Okay.
gotta
Gotta
have
the
one.
public-
Public hearing's got to happen.
and
What you
hold the
think?
ordinance over 2 weeks.
I think it's, to me, it's cleaner just to take them both up at the same time.
same time. Let's just hold on for 2 weeks then.
Okay.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay, so we'll have to take this one so we can lay it over 2 weeks, okay?
You,
65.
hold on.
Kara?
I heard a rumbling, but I didn't really hear what happened. Procedurally, being that this is the first time, you have to waive the rules so that this can be,
Yeah,
we'll
have to
waive the rules to take this.
yeah, oh, y'all said that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Why y'all laughing, man? I'm trying to quit
65061,
my-
ordinance to amend section 65-4 C, tree protection and management of the Mobile City Code.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I read through this. Here, I've got a problem with this one. And the problem is it doesn't solve our issue. It allows for the administration to make a decision in case the commission doesn't meet, but we're not getting after the reason the commission is not meeting. So all this does is it gives a way forward without addressing the issue of what the problem is. And if an action is taken by the administration, the commission has 2 weeks to render an opinion. But if an action is already taken to, let's say, remove a tree, and the commission doesn't even get to hear that before the tree's down, then the commission's position is irrelevant at that point. So I've asked, is Mr. Rooks here? Could you come forward, please? Mr. Rooks is the chairman of the Tree Commission, and I've asked him to come today. What I think we need to get after is, what's the issue and challenge with the commission not meeting?
I mean, right now the commission is meeting. We have a full quorum, which really has been the major solution to the problem. We did have one meeting. We did not get the notice in on time. We did call a special meeting. This actual amendment as well is on the agenda. We have our meeting tonight for the tree commission to discuss. I think this is the one that legal brought up. Charlena Montero, I think, brought it up. I actually think it's very well written. We have tabled it a couple times ourselves. The question is this, it's a good solution, but does it still have a problem to solve? So I do expect the tree commission to bring it up. If you want to wait for us to do the motion and see if that passes and then go from there, each of you do have a representative on the tree commission. So I just don't, either proceed at this level or our level. I just don't want to make sure that we're not in conflict here.
So let me ask this question. The last meeting was called because the notice wasn't published. Whose responsibility is it to publish the notice?
As far as I know, that goes to the Urban Forestry Department.
With the city administration?
Yes, sir.
So let me ask the administration, why wasn't the notice posted in sufficient time?
So I can tell you that is not the administration's obligation to post notice. The tree commission is appointed by the council, and it is an independent organization that answers to you all. I can't tell you why it wasn't posted in time. I can't tell you it's not up to the administration. Now, if the council wants us to help, I think we probably can, but it is not the obligation to do so.
Who publishes the notifications for the planning commission,
The staff
which is a part of the city administration, right?
appointed by the mayor.
Right. So I guess my point is, we have a city staff that does all the administrative functions of a commission that does work for the city that is important enough to hold those meetings. And we've got an ordinance in front of us that we're acting on, where the administration is asking us to do an administrative function on behalf of the city administration that is important enough to push through, because there's actions that, if delayed, create second and third order impacts for the city. So in my mind, we've still got 2 commissions that are taking actions on behalf of the city that are of enough importance that, if not acted upon, then there's significant enough second and third order impacts that a decision must be made, which is the reason for the amendment in front of us. So my question back to the administration is, why isn't the tree committee or the tree commission with the city not pushing out the notices and handling the administrative functions of that commission?
That's a good question there, and I think the nuance being missed is twofold. One, you have to look at the fact that the planning commission is appointed by the mayor and therefore acts at the behest of the city. However, the tree commission is appointed by the council. Now, you have to think about this in 2 dimensions. We're happy to help, but it's not an obligation to help. And because they are your appointees, they can only have the power that is invested in them by you. And you can't direct the staff. I mean, everybody knows that. So the tree commission can't direct the staff. Therein lies an issue. We're not really worried about that. The reason for this amendment is to be able to give the citizens another outlet for the backup. That's what we're trying to do here, is solve the problem for the citizens. If the tree commission doesn't meet, if they're doing the job, which they have been lately,
Okay.
they've been meeting, that problem is being solved. It is really, it's a nuance, but I think we're there. This just gives you a backup.
Mr. John, can I cut you off for 1 second? Madam Clerk, is it possible that your office or either Cassandra can send out the notice for the tree commission, if they can contact you all and let them know, let you all know exactly when they're having the meetings?
Sure, sure. We just need a schedule of their meetings and we'll help with that.
Mr. Jones?
That will help.
Okay, Mr. Days, then Mr. Carroll.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I think what we want is that the public's business is handled in an expeditious manner. I think that this ordinance that's before us allows the tree commission to operate. It gives the tree commission an opportunity to operate in an expeditious manner. But failing that for any reason whatsoever, then there's an opportunity for the city to solve the problem or answer the question that's been posed to it in an expeditious manner. I think it's a good ordinance. I think it should go forward. I think we had a problem. We've addressed it. This is a good way to address it.
Mr. Carroll?
Sounds like we've offered a solution to notification, but however, in saying that the council appoints the tree commission, and that's the reason why the notification, in a sense, kind of blurs me, because the council appoints the BZA, the council appoints the ARB, the council appoints several other boards in this city where notifications are sent out by the administration and not by the council clerk. So I'm kind of confused. One, where does the enabling structure of the tree commission come from? Does it come from the Zogby Act, or was that something that the council did on its own, or was that something that the administration placed in some type of structure years back? And if so, then we should follow the guideline of whatever was placed in fact. But just to say that the council appoints the tree commission, and that's the reason for no notification from the administration, kind of is extremely gray and not 100% accurate there. So I think that we've offered a solution, but I think that these types of things should be in tandem with the administration also, and not just something that we're putting on one side of the fence or the other, because a whole bunch of other things we can do the same thing with and make that excuse for.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, just another question, William. The scope of an authority of your commission, does it deal with permitting of trees, tree removal, et cetera?
I would say that's been our primary focus lately, is permits. That's the main reason to keep the meetings going. That's obviously that's one of the function, the promotion of the health of trees, the promotion of planting of trees, but simply to keep the meetings going, the permits, I believe, is a critical part of that.
So can the city act to trim or cut down a tree without the permits that the commission authorizes?
Yes, sir. There is actually right now, whether it's a nuisance trees, whether it's a safety hazard, we actually get a report of whatever forestry can do. And so, yes, there is opportunities there right now. Not every tree trimming, not every tree removal comes in front of the tree commission.
But the result is the tree commission does city business.
I don't know if I can answer, but yes, we do deal with permits.
I guess I'm a little bit confused now, and this is why I've asked for the meeting, CJ, with regards to roles, missions, authorities of each board that we're responsible for and that we govern. And this gets to the heart of it. I find it hard to believe that a tree commission, and to your point, William, doesn't do city business. And the last time I checked, city council does city business as well. And we're all working together for a solution. So it behooves all of us, for every one of these commissions that deals with city business, to work smoothly and not work against each other and say, well, we'll do this, but we're not going to do that. So I just think, and I think this is a path forward, but I'm not sure, again, that it solves the primary issue of the two sides of the fence that we've got to get beyond. Thank you.
Barbara?
Yeah, just two things. One of them, I don't think the administration will say that we wouldn't do it. We went through a period there of about 6 months where they just didn't meet. And so when they finally restarted getting those systems in place to make sure notices going out. I mean, but what you have before you is a default approval process that if for some reason in the future we run into this problem again, that there is a way to move forward with these developments. We already allow this on residential development. We're just including commercial development so we don't hold up commercial development.
And I hear what you're saying, Jimmy. The thing is this, serving on the planning commission for a year, I can show you a notification for every planning commission meeting that went out a week with the staff notes, recommendations, et cetera. Had the planning commission not met for 6 months, this city would have been in an uproar. No doubt. The administration would have been in an uproar. We'd have had all sorts of emails on our desk from developers, neighborhoods, et cetera. And I think this needs to be given the same level of preference that the planning commission does. If in fact it is a city commission, which if the city council appoints it, it is a city commission that does city business. So, you know, we need to treat them the same way. If there's second, third order impacts, which impacts the city, which I think it does.
Mr. Carroll?
Oh, well, let me change my statement structure. Does the tree commission have lawyer staff, city staff there?
Yes,
Okay.
we have representatives from urban forestry and have representatives from legal.
All right, that's great to know. So that means that they already have recommendations and things in place before your meeting based on what permits applications are being.
Yes, sir. I've sat on the chair for 8 years. Generally, the agenda is provided ahead of time. We are doing the meeting minutes now. I actually do run the meetings myself.
So simply said, we're just missing the button of pushing and making that information public information before that's a very easy fix that
Yes, sir.
can be done.
And we've already been working with urban
Okay.
forestry to address that.
The other thing is I've read this thing, and to Scott's response, the city was in an uproar because the tree commission didn't meet for 6 months. I live in a district that is heavily tree. I mean, God, my neighbors go to war over a 2-inch caliber tree. But my concern is in the structure of the ordinances is that who's going to make decision on which trees go and which trees stay. The 6 trees on Broad Street at the corner of Governor and Broad were a disaster. You know what I mean? It caused more community unrest than a nuclear bomb would during the upcoming Holocaust, if you understand what I mean by that. So who's going to make those decisions within the administration? Because the chief of staff making that kind of decision kind of would worry me. You know what I mean? It would really worry me. And, you know, the process of how that decision is made, some of that's outlined, but I have some notes. But being that this is going to lay over for a week, I felt like I'd keep looking at Flo back there. But don't move, Flo. That's why I keep looking at you, because I wanted to ask questions. I didn't get a chance to do it before pre-council because you were actually busy with everything else. But I'll ask them sometime this coming week. But I'm okay. I think we're going in the right direction. I think that again with the administration, that's an easy button fix for you guys to just make it public notice somewhere at the tree commission's meeting, or Lisa, whoever wants to do it. Not a real big deal.
Understand this, that notice issue is a singular issue. Notices were going out. They just weren't capable of meeting for a number of months. I think that point keeps getting missed. And to Mr. Carroll's point, it's the urban forester that makes the decision about what happens with the trees. Should the tree commission not meet during their regular scheduled meetings, and then a secondary time within a 10-day time frame, fail to meet or call a special meeting to make a decision so the citizens can get the services they need. So,
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Phelps.
I know what I was making reference to was the little community group and the agreements that were made. It was just a disaster. Not to say that it was an intended disaster. It was just an unintended consequence is a better statement to use instead of saying disaster. But going forward, I hope that, you know, we can really do a whole lot. We can make, I shouldn't say a whole lot better. We can make it a whole lot better than what we've been doing going forward. I'm done with all of that, Mr.
So
President.
Chief Barber, just for a clear understanding, the administration still will be putting out the tree notice, the meetings for the tree notice?
We're fine with that. I
Okay.
saw where Ms. Lambert was volunteering to do that, but we can do it through Peter's office.
Okay.
We just need clear understanding of who you want to be responsible for it. We're not refusing to do it.
Okay.
Just a
Ms.
clarification. I know you put the notices out for those who are coming before the tree commission who maybe are looking for a permit or have some sort of an issue. Those are the primary people who get notices, or are you sending that out as some sort of a news release?
I know Peter has been posting on the board as well as at the website. As soon as he was able to post it there, he's going to post that a week in advance.
But they're not talking about having Cassandra send out a news release citywide. Two different things. So it's like, which do you want here? If Lisa and them are going to do it, it's more like a news release letting everybody know that these meetings are coming up, whereas they are posting notices for people who actually have business before the tree.
And this is a legal requirement that meeting is meeting, or that commission is meeting. And that's why it was canceled. My understanding the last time is that did not get put out in a timely fashion. So they canceled the meeting the day of the commission meeting was supposed to happen. So we just need to make sure that, our ducks are in a row with making sure that's advertised. And if there's an issue with that, William, if you could let us know as well, so we could sort of,
And it was
help
only-
with
it was
that.
one meeting, and we did create a
So-
special meeting 2 weeks later to meet, so we can stay within the month.
Yeah, thank you.
I also do, like I said, for the meeting tonight, I do intend on bringing up this ordinance. I do think it's important for us to put a vote on the table and address that. So we'll be addressing at the meeting tonight.
They just keep doing it the same way they're doing it.
Mr. President,
Mr. Carroll?
It's been noted that several years ago, the BZA ran into the same problem of a lack of a quorum and couldn't meet for 6 months, and it caused a whole widespread panic, as I say, not to mention the music group.
Yeah.
But there were supernumeraries appointed to the BZA at that time, so that if people were going to be absent, that they could sit in on a tree commission. Maybe that's something to consider to resolve your absentee problems when you know you're going to lack a quorum. That was just something that's been mentioned from the gallery back in the back when from the people that were here when it happened.
And like I said, at the time, we only had 4 members, so we needed all 4 members. We now have full 7 members, so we do appreciate everybody appointing somebody. I believe it's an excellent group right now to meet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. President, I got one
Yes,
one
Mr. Brown.
comment. I think the citizens of the city would benefit from having someone come help us with the council with some of these boards that we have. Structure them in an effective means of getting the business of the people done. And this just sort of illustrates maybe some of that. To revisit some of the boards, look at their structure, who's involved doing what, and lay it all out. I think it'd be helpful.
Mr. Days?
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur heartily with Councilman Reynolds. I just got an update on the appointments to the various boards. And when you go through this list, and of course, this is a song I've been singing for 9 years or so. When you go through this list, there are at least half of the boards and commissions on this list never meet, are completely defunct, and yet they continue to live on some kind of life support. And I think it's time for us to go through the list again and determine which ones are good, which ones we need, which ones are functioning, and which ones we don't need and are not functioning, and get rid of them. It makes no sense to ask a constituent to serve on a commission that's never going to meet. Thank you, Mr. President.
I had spoken to Ms. Lena, I'm trying to pronounce the last name, Garcia. Garcia. And yesterday to pretty much try to get information together for our attorney can get abreast of the different boards. I would say probably in about 2 weeks, we probably can sit down and just really just go
Maybe
through.
we could give that to the Administrative Services Committee.
One of them. But a lot of the boards and commissions were set up for specific issues, but yet they remain on the list. So yeah, a lot of those can go.
I think, I think in the future, if we're going to establish these ad hoc committees and commissions, they need to have a sunset date.
Sunset.
So, yeah.
To our attorney to think about 2 weeks will be good enough for you can. Okay, so probably looking at around the 6th. Okay,
Today's the 15th.
the 29th or the 6th, whichever one. We might not have a committee meeting. We'll discuss that. 29th to public safety, and the 6th, are we going to the airport? 22nd. Okay, so they're looking around by December 6th. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk.
Consent resolutions, 37-1005, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to Slurp Society on St. Michael Street. 40-1006, 1007, 1008 are declaring the structures on Pettit Avenue, Rollins Lane, and Tata Street public nuisances. 58-1009 declare weeds noxious, Group 1636. 60, 1010, 1011, and 1012 are determined appropriations to Yorktown Baptist Church, Mobile Law Enforcement Foundation, and Providence Foundation serve a public purpose in approving payment. Resolutions being introduced, 08-1013, approve purchase orders for fuel for various city departments. 09-1014, transfer funds from Alabama Municipal Trust Fund to Capital Project Mounted Unit New Training Facility, $67,500. 21-1015, authorized contract with Chris Brewer Contracting for partial demolition of decommissioned ZBAC wastewater treatment plant, $484,027.75.
Mr. Carroll.
I wanted to ask, Alabama Municipal Trust Fund, what's that?
I'll tell you what, let me send you a note on that one. We've got about 15 different trust funds that I'd like to make sure I get you the right one.
Is it included in the budget?
Yeah, that's,
And how much money is in it?
last I recall, about $82 million. So
Where does it show in the budget?
I have to go back and look at the budget.
I don't remember seeing it, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
To be-
I'll send you a note.
To be clear on this specific one, this was residual funds from a previous allocation to a project, and we're moving it to support that project. It was basically left over from a previous one. So we're trying to clean up some of the projects that are done and have residual funds that are set for those that were at a close amount that have money left over. And that is being used to help prop up this project cost.
Well, if you got $2 million left over from the project,
No, that's the total amount of that fund. I'm just saying that this dollar amount is from a previous allocation from that fund.
we'll get it.
Madam Clerk.
21-1016, authorized contract with Ardura Group, Inc. for assessment of the watershed for Stickney Drainage Study, $70,000.
Mr. President,
Mr. Ronald.
I'm sorry, 21-1015, this wastewater treatment plant, the city owns or did own this, or I guess owns it, but it's decommissioned.
So it was a Moz property that was transferred to the city. That's where we're creating a park. And so we got the property from Moz. Of course, as we create the park, we're demoing some of the existing structures that are there.
Where is this thing?
This is down in,
Off of DIP.
it's in,
Off of DIP on the bay side.
just south of the Cowie, just south of the Cowie Park.
But that's Perch Creek. That's, yeah, it's a pretty nice park there.
Okay.
You want to know right where that is. It's
Thank
on
you.
the river.
So follow on to this then. So this is like step one. If we're going to turn it into a park, we're going to demo this. What other cost of land prep is there to establish a park there that is going to be?
There'll be construction, preliminary design, actually, yeah, we have a plan for the whole park.
What's the overall cost?
Yeah, for the full park construction as well.
Man, I'm in favor of whatever happens in my colleague's District 3 district. Sounds like a major improvement, and I'm glad to see it happen. Good job, CJ. I have no qualms with it.
Yeah, this is a project that really been on the books for a couple of years that the city had been negotiating with Moss and, trying to get the property. Many citizens in the area really thought that was going to be the first beach, water access in the city. But we see that Brooklyn by the Bay look like it can get a whole lot more attention before this particular area does. But this is just a plan because you're connecting like 3 or 4 parts down in the parkway along with the Greenway Trail and doing the connection. So this pretty much is a long overall project that's been going on for years.
And I'm all for it. And I would hope that one day we have all these parks connected all the way down to South Alabama. And I keep saying that in every meeting I have with regard to this, but I also like to know what that overall cost is associated with that as well. So I can keep track of that. So I'm all for it though. Thanks.
Madam Clerk.
21-1017, authorized contract with Goodwin Mills Kaywood for design and construction administration of a new facility at the Mobile Police Department mounted unit, $296,657.44. 60-1018,
Whoa, wait a minute. It's in this in District 2, or are we moving this?
This is out. Sheriff's.
Oh, okay. So what are we gonna do with the corner right there?
That'll be where it is currently.
Right,
That'll be turn back into green space.
all right. And what about the findings on that property?
We talked about that. That's why it's all for being turned back into green space.
Okay, what about, never mind, I can handle the monument.
So all the facilities on there are getting moved. This is the first of 3 facilities.
They didn't know it when they put Hartwell Field out there either, but I mean, I think it's worthy of a monument when we get it done, right? All right.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
21-1017, the facility for the mounted unit. Is this going to be a shared property with the sheriff's department?
We own the property.
Yeah, we own it.
But we just leased it to the sheriff, didn't we?
We leased 5 acres to the sheriff.
Okay.
For he needed, and the rest of it was the city.
So, but when we build it out, are we going to build it out with the understanding that the sheriff's going to use the facility as well?
Just the 5 acres that they just have leased for.
Okay.
So we got that with wood and living with the right. That's not the agreement.
60-1018, approve amendment of charter documents and bylaws of the City Airport Authority.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
it's a 5-man board now, or 5-person board now, going to 2. Why? I'm going to 7, adding 2, sorry.
Several reasons. One is that when you have a 5-member board, you really don't have enough people on board to have quorum subcommittees. Also, if you have absenteeism, you can end up not having a quorum. And also because of the increased capacity of what's going to happen with the downtown airport and the other 2 airports down, you just need more people to actually manage them. Also, if you look at the age of the board members, there needs to be more youth, possibly on that, not just old people. But we need some diversity of age, and also there needs to be some real expertise within the board members from an accounting standpoint, from a procedural standpoint, having to do with federal regulations. So the idea is that we will touch a couple of those bases, with these 2 new people. It's just so much that this board has never handled before, that's going to be coming down the pipeline going forward, that there needs to be more capacity.
Okay.
And I'll also say this, the backup to this originally was, I was going to say this at the very end of the meeting. There was a conversation about boards and what to do with some of these boards. We had a conversation about whether you even would keep those boards. With those that we decide to keep, like the council president yesterday about Paula Menigan, who y'all had the Zoom meeting with about board governance. And she came in, it was her recommendation that board be expanded because of the needed additional capacity that would be handled. So that's what happened. That was the origin of it. And she will be coming, we're scheduled to bring her back to Mobile, probably the second week, I think, in January, and trying to set up times when she can meet with the council to start talking about various boards that you do control from a government standpoint.
Mr. Carroll.
Yeah, I was trying to remember or read, the enabling act for the airport authority, where does it come from?
So what?
The enabling act for the airport authority, where does it come from?
State statute.
State statute, appointed solely by the mayor,
Yes, and that's per Zachary.
right, but with council approval.
Correct.
So the two new members will still be appointed solely by the mayor with no council appointment to the airport authority.
Right, you will, but you have to elect them. So you have Abe Harper, who's a pilot and the FAA guru. And then you have Kelly McGriff, who is a lawyer, Unity Fiber, gives him additional legal capacity, but also has an expertise in dealing with the federal government and the FCC. And then, of course, the last person that you all elected once appointed by the mayor was an accountant.
David.
Mr. President said, hey, this is the guy. And then you will have your 7. And those names, unless there are more questions, those names will appear before you next week for first read.
Oh, my thinking is, sort of on the lines of the planning commission, council rarely knows what's happening with the airport structure or within the city. Why can't we have one of those positioned as a council appointment by the mayor as a non-paid position? I know it would be a conflict if it was paid, but I mean, council being that it's in the city, one of these guys would love probably to sit on the airport authority so that the council's always kept up to date out there. And solely right now, I mean, we hear about things through the wind, like changes in contract structures, deletions of, or the FAA not willing to pay us based on certain procedural aspects. We hear that secondhand as opposed to actually being involved and actually knowing what's going on and have to hear things by word of mouth and not directly knowing what's happening.
There are two issues. One is that probably $30 million in additional funds that you all give them to them. I don't know that you all want that conflict.
Well, I mean, it was just a suggestion.
Right.
I understand that, but again, we're constantly, out of loop on things that happen, out at the airport with the airport authority, and it would be not unless we go to a board meeting, and I do that,
You know what?
Which anybody can do. Which
which
anybody can do.
anybody can do.
Well, actually, I think that leads to the other point. With the addition of these two members, not only do they have to have public meetings anyway, December 6th is the next meeting, I'll be there. We try to send a liaison to each meeting just to sit in. The mayor's an ex officio member of the board as well. And then I think council's more than free to do that, but also with the addition of the two members I just named, then the MAA will then have the capacity to be able to have open meetings by telephone, make decisions, or open meetings via Zoom. And I think that'll make it that much more accessible, especially with the transition we're about to see next year.
Yeah, I know, just attending, I hear you, but in respect to Joe, who said anybody can attend, but just attending a meeting doesn't really make you, or it gives you a requirement to be there. And in my mind, I think a lot of things happen with the airport authority that affect the city. Again, especially, you made a valid point with our $30 million going down there, not knowing how our first $15 million was spent, or if it was affected, which I understand that it may not be. But, and knowing when we're going to hit the benchmarks that are needed for our second $15 million, I think, it'd be a valuable appointment if possible. Not saying it was, it's just an idea, if possible. And it sounds like you guys have already made your decision, but going forward, if there was a way, to have something for a council member to be there or in the know always, so that information isn't lost, it will be valuable to the council, or missed, not lost. Thank you.
Days.
Thank you, Mr. President. The point, I understand what you're saying, but the point is that that those meetings of the airport authority are subject to the Open Meetings Act. Anybody that wants to, including any council person, can go to those meetings. The second thing I'd say is that as we've seen with the council appointment to the Planning Commission, at least in the previous 8 years, it was sometimes difficult for us to get a council member to agree to actually serve on the planning commission. Now, this time around, we've had Mr. Jones has agreed to do that and has served ably as the council representative. But in the last couple of quadrenniums, it was difficult sometimes to find a council member to do it. And so that just having a council member assigned to it doesn't actually mean the council member is going to attend to it. So I just,
Okay.
I don't see the need for it.
It was, it's just a thought, a recommendation, because I mean, I don't ever want to see this council say, hey, I didn't know about that. And all of a sudden we have a big ticket item where we spend a lot of money that we're not going to get back, or there's a claim that'll be picked up on a reallocation or just something indirectly, not saying by far that there is mishandling of any funds, because I don't think that'll ever happen down there, but just a consideration.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, just, don't we have a meeting that we were invited to go out and the airport board or going to present to us? I mean, if we did that every 6 months, I think we're in perfect shape. That will be, by design, anytime we're together, an open meeting, but that gives us the ability to ask questions that we have, if there are any there, based off of what they present. I imagine it's going to be a pretty good rundown of some milestones and objectives that we have. So, I appreciate them doing that. And I think that from my perspective, that's all I'm looking for. As long as we know what's going on from a wave top level, and they can answer the mail on any specific questions that we have as city council, I'm happy with that.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I think Mr. Jones' idea is an excellent idea. There is a lot going on at the airport authority in a lot of different areas. And I think it as everyone agrees, it'd be good for the council to stay abreast of what's going on. And one suggestion I might make is for the clerk to work with her counterpart at the airport authority and schedule these once every 6 months, so we can meet with the airport authority and hear what's going on.
Mr. Harrell?
It was mentioned by mayor council that the mayor himself is an ex officio member of the board. Why can't we have a council member, maybe the council president, be an ex officio member of the board, non-voting, just there? I mean, that way we don't have any monetary conflicts. We don't have anything else. We just have an opportunity as for a council to have a representative that's also included monthly in the board meeting. And I mean, it serves the same purpose. Just thought, not a directive.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Call for public hearings, 41-1019, call for public hearing to rezone property located at the west side of Todd Acres Drive, 2/5 of a mile north of Hamilton Boulevard, extending to the east side of CSX Railroad and from RA to I-1, scheduled December 20th. 41-1020, call for public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Mobile Pedal Tours LLC to operate an electric motor-assisted pedal vehicle, scheduled November 29th. Announcements.
Anything from the council?
I've got one thing, being that we just finished talking about the airport authority. Chris Curry worked some magic down at the airport authority when he had the tracks removed from, I forget the street going to the right, not Bayfront Road, but I need some help with Michigan Avenue. Those tracks at Michigan Avenue, at Tennessee Street, at the ditch, I'm tired of asking. I mean, I've even called CSX myself. That is a major disaster, need you guys figure out what we're going to do. I mean, I don't care if I have to go visit 100,000 people to make this happen, but we've got to get that fixed. It's worse now than what it was a year ago when I first got here.
Anything else from the council?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I understand that next week the administration is going to put an ordinance on the agenda regarding the cannabis distribution centers. I would like for us to have a committee meeting and request that the Cannabis Commission representative from the state come down and answer questions regarding this before we take that up and consider it. There's a ton of questions that I've got legally with regards to how this is going to be executed, what our police are supposed to do to enforce things, what are those things, what are judges supposed to do. There's a ton of questions that have yet to be answered. I've looked at the website. I've had a ton of phone calls pushing me to do this. And we need to slow down. We need to look at the parameters. And everybody's like, well, we're just going to put up the distribution center. Well, then what? There's too many unknowns. And I don't care if everybody else is doing it. And that's another thing that I've heard was Sims is doing it and this county's doing it and the county commission is going to do it. I don't care what everybody else is doing it. There's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And all I'm asking, I'm not for this, I'm not against this, but I don't have the answers. I need to go back to my constituents and have an opinion on how this thing needs to go. And until such time as we are informed and we understand all of the impacts that this will have, which it will, then I think we're being irresponsible to take up something without having all the answers that need to be addressed. With how this is, I mean, the mayor stood up this morning and said one of the greatest concerns that he has as a mayor is we're losing police. And yet here we're going to put another burden on the police. And nobody's laid out what the parameters are for the police to enforce a complaint that comes in from a citizen on how things are getting done at a distribution center. And they're the ones that have to enforce it. And then the judges have to enforce it. And I haven't seen one law that's been put in front of me, and we're the legislative branch of the city, until such time as I see all of this laid out and I can answer the questions that is being asked of me, and rightfully so, then I'm not comfortable taking this to a vote. Thank you.
And anyone else from the council? Anything from the administration? It's 10:27. We will start meeting at 10:45. Okay.